Unbelievable. Peanuts grown in the desert. And what happened next shocked the world. In one of the harshest deserts on Earth, nothing was ever supposed to grow. For years, this land defeated every farmer who tried to tame it.
Every expert agreed this experiment would fail.
Sometimes, progress begins with one impossible decision.
The first peanut seeds were placed into the desert sand by a pair of East Asian female hens. No one knew if this seed would ever grow.
For a long time, nothing happened.
Beneath the desert sand, something was beginning to change. At first, it was almost invisible. Against all odds, the seed had survived. Each day, the desert looked a little less empty. For the first time, there was hope. The desert was beginning to turn green. In the desert, water decides life or death.
To survive, the desert demanded a new way of farming.
Not a single drop would be wasted. Every drop of water would now be controlled. Science now guided every moment of growth. In the harshest land on Earth, life had found a way. At first, the peanut plant looked ordinary. But unlike other crops, peanuts follow a different rule. Instead of growing upward, the peanut grows down. Hidden from sight, the real miracle was happening below. Above ground, the heat was brutal. Below, life struggled to survive. Hidden beneath the sand, the harvest was being born. Months later, the desert prepared to give back. Harvesting peanuts in sand required absolute precision. Before separation, patience was required once again. One wrong movement, and the entire crop could be lost. The desert had kept its secret until now. From lifeless sand came a real harvest. Harvest was only the beginning of their journey. They needed air to survive the journey. Every crate carried months of effort. From the heart of the desert, they moved forward. Even during transport, precision mattered. From the desert to the world beyond. Before processing could begin, the desert had to be cleaned away. Every unwanted particle was separated. Nothing from the desert could remain. Only the strongest remained. The journey continued, cleaner and stronger. Now, quality would decide their fate. This was the moment of judgment. In less than a second, everything was analyzed. Nothing could hide from the system. Only perfection could pass. This batch was worthy of the world. The journey was far from over. Drying was not about heat. It was about control. Too much heat, and everything would be lost. Every percentage mattered. Drying happened from the inside out. Rushing was not an option. Now, they were ready for the next transformation. This was where raw harvest became a finished product. Not a gram more, not a gram less. This was where raw harvest became a finished product. Freshness was sealed inside. Every bag could be traced from desert to shelf. From sand to a finished product. This stage was about patience and protection. Each silo held the work of thousands of hands. A single temperature change could alter everything. Protected until the next stage began. Silence didn't mean inactivity. Protected until the next stage began. To reach the kernel, the shell had to be broken. Too much force, and the kernel would be destroyed. Light shells floated away. Heavy kernels remained. The heart of the peanut was finally revealed. Even waste found new purpose. Now, safety would decide everything. Here, safety came before everything. Even invisible danger was detected. Every grain was checked. Safety was confirmed. There were no second chances. Now flavor would take control. Now came the moment that would define taste.
Seconds could change everything.
Flavor was no longer hidden. Science and instinct worked together. Color, aroma, and crunch were complete.
Now, the flavor had to be locked in.
The flavor was frozen at its peak. Cooling had to be immediate. Heat was gone. Flavor remained. This harvest was approved. From desert sand to global standards. Now, precision took over.
Machines stopped. 2 inspectors stepped in, tasting and examining peanuts. Technology could measure, but humans could taste.
Accuracy became absolute.
Nothing could escape.
Every pack told its story. Spät met perfection. From experiment to premium product. Now, the desert harvest would travel far.
Miles passed beneath their wheels.
The journey began on wheels. Steel rails extended the journey.
The desert harvest crossed oceans.
What began in sand now fed the world. What once looked lifeless began to breathe. The land didn't just grow food, it created livelihoods. Hope returned where silence once lived. This was no longer just farming. Other deserts could follow. Not with noise, but with results.
What happened next shocked millions.
How could peanuts grow in the desert?
Millions couldn't believe it.
How have you managed to make this farm sustainable in such a harsh environment?
It's mostly thanks to the new irrigation techniques we implemented last year.
It wasn't a trick. It was happening. The impossible had become undeniable. The world had just witnessed history.
It was hard to believe where this journey began.
Not machines, not money, but belief. Just a seed and a decision.
It was about possibility.
If this desert could change, so could anything. Because sometimes the impossible only waits for someone brave enough to try.